ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
We have breaking news out of Iran. We're learning the country has issued a notice that the airspace in Tehran is now closed to most flights.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Franzen in New York. We are coming on the air with breaking news from the Middle East. Air raid sirens in Israel after Israel's defense minister announced Israel.
Breaking news from the Persian Gulf. 1st March 2026. A joint United States and Israeli intelligence operation has confirmed a direct strike on the Supreme Leadership compound in northern Tehran. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the man who commanded Iran's nuclear program, funded every proxy militia from Baghdad to Beirut, and ordered the attack on the USS Abraham Lincoln just 4 weeks ago, is dead. The entire IRGC high command that assembled for the morning security briefing is dead. And what defense officials are telling us right now, the operation was already in motion before Khamenei even sat down at his desk. 10 minutes from aircraft wheels up to confirmed kill. The precision of the execution, according to intelligence sources speaking to the press right now, unlike anything the world has seen since the beginning of the 21st century. The Persian Gulf, pre-dawn, the water holds a deep, unflat blue that no photograph ever captures correctly. The kind of blue that looks painted, that makes the horizon look artificial, where the surface barely moves and the reflection of stars turns the sea into a mirror 600 kilometers wide. Through that blue stillness, somewhere beneath the surface of the Gulf of Oman, 2 Virginia-class nuclear attack submarines run at classified depth. 80 kilometers west, in the blue-black airspace above international waters, might a pair of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers from the 509th Bomb Wing hold in a pre-assigned orbit. And somewhere inside that same sky, an aircraft that will never appear on any Iranian radar screen, a platform whose existence is acknowledged only in classified budget documents, is watching the compound at 234 Pasteur Avenue, northern Tehran, in real time. Inside that compound, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has governed the Islamic Republic for 35 years. He has survived assassination attempts. He has survived wars. He has survived the death of his predecessor, the collapse of oil prices, 4 decades of sanctions, and 3 American presidents who made removing him a stated policy objective. He has never been more certain than this morning that he is untouchable. In 40 seconds, that certainty ends. If you want the full truth about what happens when a regime kills American sailors and believes there are no further consequences, hit like right now. But worse, because this story needs to reach people who still think Tehran can survive ordering strikes on the United States Navy. The compound at Pasteur Avenue is not the address that appears on any public record for Iran's supreme leader. That address is theater, a decoy facility maintained specifically to absorb surveillance resources and misdirect targeting intelligence. The real compound occupies 11 acres behind a wall system that incorporates reinforced concrete, electronic countermeasures, and a dedicated anti-drone detection grid installed by Russian technicians in 2024. The main operations building, a 4-story structure of Soviet-era design reinforced twice since 1989, sits at the center of the compound behind 2 security perimeters. An underground level contains the command and control node from which Khamenei personally authorized the ballistic missile strike on the USS Abraham Lincoln. An adjacent conference room, where the Supreme National Security Council holds its restricted Tuesday briefing, seats 22 people. On the morning of March 4, 2026, it seats 19. 19 of the 23 most powerful military and political decision-makers in the Islamic Republic of Iran are in that room at 0407 hours. Among them, the IRGC Commander-in-Chief, the commander of the Aerospace Force, the head of the Quds Force, the National Security Advisor, and Ali Khamenei himself, who has been awake since 3 in the morning reviewing intelligence reports about American carrier repositioning in the Gulf. He is drinking tea. He has no idea that the aircraft above him has been watching his heat signature through the roof for 41 minutes. He has no idea that the weapon already in free fall will reach him in 9 seconds. You are Captain Daniel Rice, Israeli Air Force, 31 years old, from Haifa. Your father flew F-16S in the 1982 Lebanon War. Your grandfather fought in 1948. You grew up believing that Israel's security is not a political argument. It is a mathematical reality about survival in a region that has never stopped trying to erase your country from the map. This morning, you are flying an F-35 Ayadir at 42,000 feet in a corridor that should not be possible for your aircraft to occupy without triggering Iranian air defenses. But it is possible because 3 months ago, American electronic warfare teams spent 6 weeks mapping every gap in Iran's radar architecture, and the corridor you are flying through right now is 11 kilometers wide and exists because of a dead zone created by the curvature of the Alborz mountain range and the blind spot of a radar station that went offline for maintenance 4 days ago and has not yet been restored. You do not think about the history while you are here. You think about the checklist. Weapon armed. My target coordinates locked. Release window in 12 seconds. The history will matter later. Right now, there is only the mathematics of altitude, speed, and timing. Your weapon releases cleanly. You bank right. You do not look back. That is who executes a mission like this. Not ideology. A person who knows exactly what is at stake, who trained for 3 years for a window that lasts 12 seconds. And who thought about his father and his grandfather and the 8 million people who live beneath him and decided the mathematics were worth it. Comment Iron Dome below. If you believe Israel had the right to strike back after Iran spent 2 years funding missiles aimed at Tel Aviv, and if you think Khamenei earned exactly what he received this morning, here is what the Iranian security apparatus did not know, what their counterintelligence teams, their Russian advisors, on their signals collection networks had no access to. 16 months before this morning's operation, following the IRGC's assassination of 3 Israeli Mossad operatives in Istanbul, and the confirmed transfer of Iranian-manufactured Fateh 110 ballistic missiles to Hezbollah for direct strikes on Israeli population centers, the United States National Security Council and Israeli cabinet jointly authorized a contingency targeting framework. The framework was titled Operation Cedar Iron. The framework identified in granular detail the precise physical location of every member of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, the compounds they used, the vehicles they traveled in, the communication patterns that preceded their movements, the security protocols they followed, the architecture of every building they regularly occupied. The framework included intelligence sourced from 3 recruited assets inside the IRGC, satellite surveillance conducted over 14 months, and signals intelligence collected by the NSA's collection station in Cyprus. The trigger was not Iran attacking Israel directly. The trigger was confirmed Iranian authorization of a strike against an American warship, resulting in American fatalities. 4 weeks ago, 17 American sailors died on the USS Abraham Lincoln's hangar bay. The trigger was pulled. Operation Cedar Iron was fully authorized. Not one phone call to the UN, not one diplomatic warning. Not one opportunity for Tehran to evacuate its leadership to hardened shelters. The operation had already been loaded, aimed, and waiting since before Iran's missile crews ever reached their launch positions in the mountains above Bandar Abbas. The strike authorization distributes across 4 platforms simultaneously at 03:58 hours on March 4, 2026, 8 minutes before weapon impact. F-35I Adirs from the Israeli Air Force's 116th Squadron, on flying a corridor mapped by American electronic warfare teams over 3 months of classified reconnaissance flights, carry GBU-53/B Stormbreaker precision munitions, a weapon that can be steered to within 1 meter of its programmed aim point from 40 kilometers of release distance, that can penetrate 3 meters of reinforced concrete, that carries a thermobaric payload designed to produce lethal overpressure effects across an enclosed subterranean space. 2B-2 Spirit stealth bombers operating from a forward staging location hold as backup for hardened structures that the initial strike package may not fully neutralize. A Virginia-class submarine in the Gulf of Oman holds Tomahawks pre-programmed with target data for every IRGC command facility within 300 kilometers of Tehran. And a signals collection platform already orbiting above the target zone will confirm impact and provide real-time battle damage assessment before any Iranian communication network has the chance to transmit an alert. From authorization to first weapon release, 8 minutes. From weapon release to impact, 41 seconds. Total window from authorization to confirmed kill, 10 minutes, 19 seconds. No, type yes. If you want to see every target that gets hit inside Iran in the next 10 minutes, because the list does not stop with one building and the destruction does not stop with one man. Weapon 1 reaches the operations building of the Pasteur Avenue compound at 04:07 hours and 12 seconds. The GBU-53/B penetrates the roof at the programmed entry point, a section of reinforced concrete rated at 300 PSE structural resistance against conventional munitions. It was not rated against this weapon. The penetrator drives through 4 meters of concrete, steel reinforcement, and internal partition structures and detonates on level 2, the operations floor directly above the conference room where the Supreme National Security Council is holding its Tuesday briefing. The thermobaric payload generates an overpressure wave of 940 pse across every enclosed space within 40 meters of the detonation point. The conference room on level 1 receives the reflected overpressure from the floor above, the walls to each side, and the blast channeling from the corridor structure simultaneously. It is not survivable. No oxygen, no time, no warning. The IRGC Commander-in-Chief, the Quds Force Director, the Aerospace Force Commander, the National Security Advisor, Ali Khamenei himself. In the same moment that a morning in Haifa is beginning for Captain Rice's daughter, who is 4 years old and eating breakfast in a kitchen her grandfather built after 1948. The 19 men who have directed Iran's campaign of regional destabilization for the past decade cease to exist simultaneously. IRGC headquarters at Lavazan. This is the operational command center through which all IRGC military operations are directed and coordinated, not a decoy. The real facility, mapped by satellite and confirmed by asset reporting over 14 months. When 6 Tomahawks from USS Delaware arrive at 30-second intervals. The command building, a 6-story structure that has never appeared on Western military targeting maps until 16 months ago, receives 4 direct hits. The communications towers that carry Iran's encrypted military command network collapse in the first strike. The backup relay facility, which was supposed to take over IRGC communications if the primary system went down, takes a direct hit 60 seconds after the primary. Iran's military does not go dark. It goes mute. SIPA Intelligence Headquarters, Northeast Tehran, the organization that planned the Lincoln attack, the organization that ran the Istanbul assassinations, the organization that coordinated weapons transfers to every Iranian proxy from Gaza to Sana'a, 24 Tomahawks. The primary analysis building receives 8 impacts. And the detention facility, Samak, where 3 recruited Western assets are currently being held, receives a dedicated strike package timed to exploit a structural weakness identified by a human source who spent 4 years inside its walls. The basement level, the archive floor, the communications vault, all destroyed. Every human intelligence file Iran's spy service has built on American and Israeli operatives over 30 years burns in a single 4-minute window. While Imam Ali Missile Base, Iran's primary ballistic missile storage and launch preparation facility for medium-range weapons capable of reaching Israel and American Gulf bases, located in western Tehran's military district. This installation is the reason Operation Cedar Iron required B-2 support. The bunker complex is buried 40 meters underground under 12 meters of reinforced concrete, designed to survive everything short of a nuclear strike. 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators from the B-2 element change that calculation. First penetrator drives through, second follows the entry channel and detonates at bunker level. 64 medium-range ballistic missiles stored in ready launch configuration are destroyed in the secondary explosion. The blast propagates through the tunnel network and destroys the adjacent warhead assembly facility. Iran's ability to threaten Israel with ballistic missile salvo at ready launch readiness is set back. Not months, years. Revolutionary Guard Air Defense Command Center, the facility that coordinates Iran's national air defense network and would have been responsible for intercepting the strike package had it been detected in time. It was not detected. It receives 4 Tomahawks regardless, radar systems, command consoles, the duty officer who would have activated the engagement protocol. All of it destroyed. Not because it defended against this strike. It did not. But because it needs to not exist for the next operation, whenever that becomes necessary. Share this video right now so the world understands what a joint U.S.-Israeli decapitation strike actually means, and why Khamenei had no idea that his own authorized strike on the Lincoln was the last order he would ever give. Now, examine the exchange with the precision it deserves. Enter Iran's action, the authorization and execution of a ballistic missile and drone strike that killed 17 American sailors on the USS Abraham Lincoln. 1 carrier strike group severely damaged. America and Israel's response, Ayatollah Khamenei dead. 19 members of Iran's Supreme National Security Council dead. IRGC headquarters command structure destroyed. SIPA intelligence archive destroyed. 64 medium-range ballistic missiles destroyed in storage. Iran's air defense command network destroyed. National military communications reduced to emergency backup protocols. The arithmetic is not brutal. It is surgical. Iran spent 14 weapons and earned its entire leadership class eliminated in 10 minutes. Every command relationship Khamenei built over 35 years of supreme leadership. Every intelligence file SEPA assembled over a generation of operations against American and Israeli interests. Every ballistic missile pointed at Tel Aviv that was maintained in ready launch condition. Gone, in the same 10-minute window during which a Tuesday morning briefing was supposed to produce orders for Iran's next campaign. And the strategic reality behind those numbers is even more permanent than the numbers themselves. Iran's supreme leader is not a position that can be quickly refilled. There is no deputy ready to step into full authority. But there is no succession protocol that has ever been tested under these circumstances. The Assembly of Experts, the body theoretically responsible for selecting a new supreme leader, has lost 6 of its members in the same strike. The Islamic Republic is not just militarily damaged, it is constitutionally headless. The regime that fired on the Lincoln has, in 10 minutes, been structurally dismantled. The diplomatic response moves with the speed of a conclusion everyone already knew was coming. Iran's surviving government spokesman issues a statement. America and Israel have committed an act of war against the Islamic Republic. The supreme leader was murdered in his home. This will not stand. The statement is issued while every international news network is running satellite imagery of the burning Pasteur Avenue compound. The United States releases the full authorization chain. The Lincoln attack or intercepts Khamenei's voice on the authorization recording. The IRGC targeting data pulled from the Bandar Abbas command center during the Lincoln response 3 weeks earlier. The intelligence package is not released to build a legal case. There is no case to build. It is released because the world needs to understand that the 10 minutes between Khamenei's last tea and his last breath were not an act of aggression. They were a scheduled consequence. Israel's prime minister addresses the nation at noon. The 18 months of intelligence collection. On the 3 Mossad officers killed in Istanbul, the ballistic missiles transferred to Hezbollah, the Lincoln attack, the pre-authorized joint response, every link in the chain laid out in sequence for an international audience that has spent 20 years watching Iran expand its regional influence while absorbing Western protests and sanctions without changing course. Saudi Arabia does not issue a statement of condemnation. It issues a statement expressing confidence in regional stability. The UAE unlocks port access for additional American naval assets. Bahrain increases base capacity authorization by 40%. The message is not subtle. The neighbors who have lived under Iranian pressure for decades are not mourning Khamenei. They are calculating whether the deterrence framework that killed him will hold. Every assessment says it will. Here is what changes after March 4, 2026, not just for Iran. For every state actor in the world that has ever considered whether attacking American forces triggers a response they can survive. The joint operation establishes something that no amount of diplomatic language, no Security Council resolution, no international treaty has ever established as convincingly as 10 minutes of precision weapons over Tehran. There is no escalation ladder that protects you if you kill American sailors. There is no Islamic law, no international law, no nuclear deterrence theory, no geographic depth, no proxy network that creates a safe space between ordering an attack on an American warship and personal terminal consequences. The Iranian commander who authorized that strike on the Lincoln did not just authorize an attack on a carrier. He authorized a return strike that was already aimed at him before he signed the order, and he never knew it. That is what deterrence looks like when it is real, not a threat, not a warning. Not a diplomatic note, a weapon that was already falling before he finished his tea. The compound at Pasteur Avenue will take years to clear. The fires in the Lavizan IRGC headquarters burned for 4 days. The Imam Ali missile base crater is visible on commercial satellite imagery from the morning of the 5th. In Tel Aviv, on 8 million people who spent 20 years under the shadow of Iranian ballistic missiles wake up on March 5th to a world that is different from every world they have lived in before. Not safe. The Middle East does not become safe in 10 minutes, but different. The specific threat, the man whose signature was on every weapons transfer order, every Hezbollah funding authorization, every Houthi missile shipment, every IRGC attack order, is gone. Captain Rice lands his F-35I at 0612 hours. He debriefs for 3 hours. He calls his wife. His daughter is still awake. It is late evening in Haifa, and she has been allowed to stay up for reasons her mother did not explain. He tells her he loves her. He does not tell her what he did today. She will know when she is old enough to understand the mathematics of what it means to survive in a neighborhood that has never accepted your existence. 17 American sailors died on the Abraham Lincoln, and their names are on a memorial at Naval Station Norfolk. They were 21 years old, 23 years old, 34 years old. They had plans, they had people. They were doing what American warships have done for 40 years, keeping the strait open, keeping commerce flowing, keeping no single state powerful enough to hold the world's oil supply at gunpoint. They paid the price that mission costs. And the response to their deaths made certain that every decision-maker in every regime that aspires to challenge American naval power in the Persian Gulf now carries one inescapable knowledge. The moment you authorize the strike, the response is already in the air, the weapon is already falling, the 10 minutes are already running. You will not reach your evacuation vehicle in time. You will not reach your phone in time. You will not finish your tea. So, I am going to ask you directly. Knowing that Operation Cedar Iron was authorized 16 months before Khamenei ever gave his final order, knowing that his assassination was pre-planned, pre-aimed, and pre-authorized as a direct consequence of Iranian attacks on American forces, do you believe this was the right response? Or did America and Israel go too far? Drop a comment below with your answer. And if you want to see more scenarios where military miscalculations meet consequences nobody in Tehran believed were possible, subscribe right now. This channel breaks down the strategies, the intelligence, and the 10-minute windows that decide how modern warfare actually ends when someone is bold enough, or foolish enough, to strike first. Hit that subscribe button, because the next miscalculation is already being planned somewhere. And this channel will be the first to explain exactly what happens when it is.